welcome to week 15 of Eden Hope Academy. I'm so glad that you're with us, and we are doing Bible first. I'm going to throw it up. Boom! I bet you thought I was going to bing, but I bonged. Totally different sound, right? All right, but Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." Okay, so who's Ruth? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, because she is so cool. Okay, so at this point of Israelites' history, of the history of Israel, the people are not obeying God like they should, and God brings a drought onto them. A drought is when there's not enough rain, and the crops don't work as well, and so people have to find other places to go. Can you think of another drought? Did you say Abraham? You are so, not Abraham, Isaac. Did you say Isaac and his, or goodness gracious. Okay, did you say Jacob and Joseph? I know you did. I know you did. You got it better than I did, didn't you? All right, so there's another time in history of Israel later on, and there was another drought. And there's a woman named Naomi. Can you say the word Naomi? Did you guys say Naomi? Oh, so good. All right, her name was Naomi, and she had 2 sons, and they were named Sickly and Weakly. Can you believe that? People name their sons after what God told them they were going to be like, or what they were like when they were born. And so I'm not sure which one of these were, but her sons were Sickly and Weakly. And so her sons Sickly and Weakly, and her husband and Naomi, they had to leave Israel, and they had to go to a foreign land just to survive because there was a bad drought. But then Naomi's husband, Sickly and Weakly, all died. And Sickly and Weakly had been married. And so they had wives, and one of their wives' name was Ruth. Now, Naomi decided she was going to go back to Israel, and maybe her relatives would take care of her because she didn't have a way to take care of herself. And so she starts traveling back, and the 2 daughter-in-laws are going with her, and she says to them, "You guys go back to your own families because they'll take care of you." And so the other one went, and Ruth said, "No, I'm going to be with you, and I'm going to walk with you even though we don't know what's going to happen." And that was huge. That was really huge, because Ruth could have taken the safe route and gone back home. But instead she went to a foreign land. And so she and Naomi went to this foreign land together. And so what I want you to do is draw a picture of Ruth refusing to leave her mother-in-law. All right, so do you guys know the rest of the story? The rest of the story, I'm trying to see if we have, we don't even mention the rest of the story. Let's just talk about it, okay? So the rest of the story is that they go back, and there's this rich relative of Naomi's, and his name is Boaz. Can you guys say Boaz? You're right. His name is Boaz. And he winds up marrying Ruth, and they have babies, and their babies are in direct lineage of Jesus. So Boaz had Obed, Obed had Jesse, Jesse had David, and then Jesus is in the line of David. So they're directly related to David, and then David had Solomon, and it goes on to Jesus. But it's directly in the line to Jesus. And what I love about this is if you look in the Old Testament of genealogy, it shows the men's side, the father's side of Jesus. And if you look in the New Testament, it goes through the mom's side. And the Bible tells the Israelites, God tells the Israelites, don't marry foreigners up to the 7th generation. And if you look at the mom's side and count, Ruth is exactly the 7th generation of the Israelites coming into the promised land. So it's really cool how God says things that are extremely precise. He didn't say the 9th generation and then Ruth was the 7th. He said the 7th generation, and that's exactly where Ruth was in the genealogy of Jesus. So it's really cool, and it's just another proof of the Bible. It's really cool. All right, so let's do history. Ooh, are you ready for this? This might be a long thing this week because I love this. Okay, Menelaus convinced his brother Agamemnon. Okay, so I want you guys to remember how to say these words. So I'm going to throw them up. Menelaus. Can you say that? Menelaus convinced his brother Agamemnon. Menelaus and Agamemnon. The king of Mycenae to lead an expedition to Troy. Agamemnon was joined by the Greek heroes Achilles, can you guys say that? Achilles, Odysseus, Nestor, and Ajax, and accompanied by a fleet of more than 1,000 ships throughout the Hellenic world. They crossed the Aegean Sea to Asia. Which sea did they cross? The Aegean Sea to Asia Minor, and lay siege to Troy and demanded Helen's return by Priam, the Trojan king. Woo! That was a lot. So let's just discuss it because it's so cool. Okay, so there is a story called the Iliad. Can you guys say the Iliad? And basically, there is a man, and there's a lot more to this story, but there's a man named Paris, and he thinks he's something else. Everyone swish your hair. Everyone go and do a little hair swish. Paris thinks he is something else, and he meets Helen. And he and Helen go off together to Troy, which is in present-day Turkey. Okay, so they get in a ship and they paddle to Turkey. And Helen gets caught. Everyone go, oh, scandalous. Helen gets caught, and the people, her husband, Agamemnon, he and his friends get into ships, 1,000 ships. They go to Troy and they start this big war with them. And Troy has a wall around it, and inside is Paris and Helen and Hector and Cassandra and their dad, and they have a full army around them. And what's interesting is that Paris and Helen have no problem whatsoever with the fact that thousands of people are dying because of them. They totally just can't even imagine why they would care. And Hector is like, hello, people are dying because of you. What are you thinking? And Cassandra has the gift of speaking the truth, but no one will believe her. So she keeps on saying, everyone's going to burn and die. You should listen to this guy, listen to me because everyone's going to burn and die. And everyone's like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And they don't even listen to her. And so basically they decide to have a one-on-one fight where Paris fights Agamemnon, or Menelaus. Anyway, Paris fights one person from the Greek side, and Paris is about to lose, and go put your two guys together, and Paris goes, oh. So he runs back, and his brother Hector goes, Hector's always going like this. Hector goes, what are you thinking, Paris? You're going to waste the lives of thousands of people if you don't get back there. And Paris looks at himself in a mirror and goes, can I help it if I'm beautiful? Can you believe that? Can I help it if I'm beautiful? Paris is so self-absorbed, so thinking about just himself, that he can't even think about the people who are going to be hurt because of him. That's horrible, isn't it? And so finally it ends with all of the Greeks pretending like they're going to leave, and they give a gift to the Trojans, and it's a big wooden horse. The Trojans bring it in. They think that all the Greek ships have sailed. They don't know that the Greeks are just waiting around the corner where they can't see them. At night, Greeks come out and start opening up the gates of the city. The Greeks return and they desolate the Trojans, just like Cassandra, the sister, said that nobody listened to. So that is a very, very, very short version of the Iliad. And I want you guys to try to get a copy of Nick McCarthy's version of it because it's a really excellent story. And I think every one of you would love it. All right, so in Link It to Me, God promised to protect the Israelites if they obeyed him. Each time they chose to disobey, God's protection could not cover them. One would have thought that they would have learned, but time and time again, they did not. God had a plan for redemption every single time. What was his plan for the redemption of the Israelites through Samson? Do you guys know? So we're going to talk about Samson. Ooh, we're going to talk about him this week. That is so cool. So I want you to think about that after we've talked about Samson. And finally, did God's plan succeed or fail when Samson failed? Oh, that was a spoiler alert, wasn't it? Spoiler alert. So he did fail, but God still had a perfect plan. All right, so then we have copper and tin were smelted in the Bronze Age. Let's throw it up. Boom. Copper and tin were melted in the bongs. What does it mean to smelt? Does it mean like this? Do you smelt like this? No, it means to heat them up and mix them together. From a naturally occurring outcropping of ore, and then allowing these metals in order to alloying. It's not allowing, it's alloying, which I'm not sure if that's spelled right or not. In order to cast bronze, alloying these metals in order to cast bronze, alloying these metals in order to cast bronze. So this allowing is spelled incorrectly. It's actually just, it sounds the same, but it's spelled differently. All right, draw something that you would make out of bronze. And remember that bronze, by putting these two metals together, it made them super tough and strong. And think of things that they would need to have that would be super tough and strong during the Bronze Age. Maybe carts, maybe the pieces of carts that hold the wood together, something like that. So I want you to think of things that need to be super strong. Okay, and finally, boom. Troy is located in Asia Minor, now known as Turkey, at the southwest mouth of the Dardanelles Strait. Now you guys know from last year how much I just adore the Dardanelles Strait, right? Because remember, we have our Black Sea, which is surrounded by Russia. Everyone make a fist. Everyone got a fist going? Black Sea. Everyone say Black Sea. Then what are we going to do? We're going to poke out our pinky. And we've got the Dardanelles Straits. Everyone go, hello, I'm the Dardanelles Straits. And then it goes to shoomp, the Mediterranean Sea. So we've got Black Sea, Dardanelles Straits, shoomp, to the Mediterranean Sea. And Troy was located near the Dardanelles Straits. Dardanelles Straits are like super important in history. All right, so for leadership, and what I want you to do is to draw a picture. You can even do just the Dardanelles Straits. You can do a fist with a pinky and then a little arrow going to the pinky and then a big Mediterranean Sea to remember the Dardanelles Straits right there. Can you do that? So fist, pinky, shroomp, and then a little arrow going to the pinky part for the Dardanelles Straits. All right, so for our leadership, I want you to think of the Minoans. And in leadership class, I want you to come up with 3 or 4 things that you don't think that your classmates will think about as the advancements of the Minoan culture. Maybe mazes, maybe, I don't know, think about it. So I want you to give me some advances of the Minoan people. And in leadership, the Mycenaeans, same thing. What are some of the advancements they had? How are the Minoans and the Mycenaeans different? Can you think of like 3 ways that they were different? And then we've got Samson. He is so wildly cool because he was a Nazarene. He was not supposed to ever cut his hair, and he was not supposed to drink any wine, and he was supposed to stay away from dead things. And I want you to watch the videos about him, and then I want you to have really amazing conversations with your mom about him. And why did he make the decisions he made? And how could those decisions have been better? And then in leadership class, I want you to talk about Samson a lot. I want you to go through the ways that God provided for him and the ways that he went against God. And yet, God's plan was still fulfilled in his life, even though he didn't do what God had told him to do. Ultimately, God still had his plan come to fruition. And I want you to, in leadership class, I want you to talk about what would have happened if Samson had done God's will. How could things have been different? So I want you to think about that as well. And then finally, the Trojan War. So watch the videos on this. If you can possibly listen to the maybe the audio of the Iliad by Nick McCarthy. It's really super good. And I want you in critical thinking class, I want to see who can, like maybe teams or a couple of people to reenact the Trojan War. So there could be a Cassandra. What about her? Like she would prophesize everything and say everything, but no one would believe her. That had to have been really frustrating, right? And then you could have Troy, and what was he like? He was like, oh, can I help it if I'm beautiful? And you can have Hector always going, oh, please listen to sense. Things like that. You could have all those types of people in the class and maybe discuss each person. Okay? So leadership class is going to be so much fun this week, and I can't wait to hear what you guys do. I'll see you later. Bye-bye, guys.